what the last name Ramsey said.
Okay. Welcome to the regular meeting of Abingdon's Historic Preservation Review Board. This is a citizen board appointed by the Town Council to interpret and uphold Abingdon's Historic Preservation Ordinance, which is Article 8 of the zoning ordinance. Abingdon's Preservation Ordinance protects the historic district and all of its contributing pieces, both buildings and their sites, from negative encroachment resulting from inappropriate construction, design, alterations, or demolitions. Our review process is guided by our guidelines, which use the United States Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation as the genesis for their development. It's our intention that our review process provides a positive bridge of support between the ordinance and property owners seeking to make changes, working together through the natural partnership that exists between us for mutual good. The result will be to ensure Abingdon's historic district continues as a valuable asset and one that makes Abingdon a good place to live, to work, and to visit. I'm Betsy White, the chair. Roll call.
Mr. Boyd?
Here.
Mr. Anderson?
Here.
Mrs. Hartshorn is absent. Mrs. White?
Here.
And Mrs. Bone.
Here.
The approval of minutes is, I'm going to request that we delay the approval of minutes because we don't have one member here who would need to be here to vote on it, since two of us were not here at the last meeting. So if I could have a motion to just delay the approval of those minutes till the next meeting, that would be good.
I'll so move.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Boyd and seconded by Mr. Anderson.
Okay. Mr. Boyd?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn? Oh. Mrs. White?
Aye?
And Mrs. Bone.
Aye.
All right. Shall we have a roll call?
We
We did it?
Yep,
Okay.
we did.
Okay.
We're good.
All right, shall we start then?
Yep.
All people are please requested to come to the podium and state your name as well as your address, and we'll start first with staff findings before that. Okay, so with our first one.
So for our first request is from Robert L. Lagarde, owner, is requesting a certificate of appropriateness for tax abatement for repairs to 3 chimneys. The applicant received a COA approval in October 2022. In October 2023, the applicant requested and was approved by staff for a COA approval extension. The COA extension was presented to the HPRB at their November meeting, so it's pretty fairly recently. Now they are requesting a tax abatement, COA approval allowed per section 66-71 of the Town of Abingdon, Virginia. Upon approval by the HPRB, the request will be submitted to the town manager. Staff recommends approval of the request for tax abatement per our analysis of the receipts. The allowed tax abatement is $5,000. So as you can see here up on the screen, these were some before pictures. So they need to do some repairs to the chimney which was repointing with lime-based mortar. Here's some more before pictures. During the extension, the applicant did supply us with specs for the lime mortar that is in your packet, so it is the appropriate mortar that they used. Here's the back chimney. Another picture of the back. And then here's just some street views of what the after photos are. There's the back chimney there. And I zoomed in one there. So overall, the COA was followed through as it was meant to. They used lime-based mortar to repoint the chimneys. All 3 remained, and they are asking for a $5,000 tax abatement.
All right. Do we have anyone here to speak for that one?
Mr. Lagarde is not here tonight.
All right, Mr. Lagarde is not here tonight. Is there any questions from anybody on the board? Okay, do I have a motion?
It did meet the spacing requirements.
Yep. Yeah, it met the requirements that was set for it through the COA, and during the original COA that was approved. The only condition that was meant to be was for the applicant to turn in lime-based mortar specs to staff. They did that upon submitting for the extension. We checked them over, everything matched up. We followed up on the work that was seen, and everything matches up to how it was supposed to be. So.
All right.
So having fulfilled all the requirements of the COA, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion as well.
Motion by Ms. Bond, seconded by Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Boyd?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
And Mrs. Bond.
Aye.
All four ayes.
Thank you. All right, our second request is for a certificate of appropriateness from Patricia Woody for 11 East Valley Street.
So our second request is from Patricia E. Woody, owner/applicant, and has requested approval of a certificate of appropriateness to attach a stone veneer to an existing concrete retaining wall and repaint the front porch and carport iron railing systems black. The property is located at 411 East Valley Street. The property is within the Old and Historic District, Sub-District 2. Some background, according to the Washington County Land Card, the ranch-style building currently addressed as 411 East Valley Street was constructed in 1966 and is currently a non-contributing building. Additionally, the building is located outside of DHR's designated Abington Historic District. Staff findings, the applicant proposes to attach a stone veneer to an existing concrete retaining wall and repaint the existing iron railing systems for the front porch and carport black. On November 15, 2023, staff issued a stop work order for the project. The applicant indicated to staff their contractor would finish the work even after being told to stop. Staff notified the applicant of the possibility of the HPRB making a motion to have the stone veneer removed. The stone used to clad the existing concrete retaining wall located between 411 East Valley Street and 423 East Valley Street is natural and varied in earthen tones. The veneer is set in a random design and is attached to the existing concrete retaining wall using metal mesh and Portland-based cement mortar. The mortar for the veneer matches the existing concrete retaining wall in material and color. When looking at the property on Google Street View, the existing concrete retaining wall was painted red as shown in 2018. When looking at Google Street View in 2021, most, if not all, of the red paint had come off, most likely due to weathering. Staff could not verify through historical documentation if the retaining wall is original to the 1966 building or not. And Patricia E. Woody, she was unfortunately not able to come tonight. Something came up unexpectedly. We do have her number. If we have any questions, we can call her.
Okay.
But I do have, and then here are some pictures of the wall that was taken when the stop work order was issued. So that's the wall. And here is the railing. So there's a portion on the front porch section. And then the garage.
Okay. Do we have anybody here who wants to make a comment? So to clarify, has the work stopped or did the work proceed?
The work did not stop, it proceeded, but the job is done.
Uh-huh.
And upon staff issuing the stop work order, they told the applicant, there is a possibility that the HPRB could say you have to take the veneer off. Once again, as I said, this is a non-contributing structure. It's not in the DHR's historic district for Abington, but we have it in ours.
Uh-huh.
So that's why they would be coming before you, but it is a 1966 building, and it's a non-contributing one.
All right.
So where's the boundary? I thought that White's Mill Road was the boundary.
Nope, it's hers, and then 423 is the last one. Both are ranch-style buildings.
Before the creek.
Mm-hmm, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
It's just-
423 East Valley is the last one.
It just goes a little bit further than White's Mill. It should be noted that it's a non-contributing building. Any comments?
This sort of falls into the same area of discussion that Gabe and I had on the way in, which has to do with the railing that Mr. Alloy put up in front of his house. If someone ignores the requirement to get a COA, but it's something we would approve
Mhm.
anyway, where does that leave things? And should there be, this is sort of veering a little bit off of this project, but should there be some mechanism in the ordinance that provides for a fine or something for
I
someone?
think it should be.
Ignoring that requirement, because otherwise there's no teeth in that. But I probably wouldn't have any issue with the stone if she had applied for
I think probably that's true. It's unfortunate that she didn't realize that she was supposed to apply. So is our task to approve it retroactively or not approve retroactively?
So you can either approve it as presented,
Uh-huh.
approve with conditions, or deny it, and the applicant would have to follow through on whatever you decided to.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Or any further comments?
The only thing that's kind of confusing to me is like what Peyton said, you know, when we issue a stop work order and someone continues to do the work, I think there should be some kind of penalty or some kind of, I don't,
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess with, the statement really is with zoning, the way that your zoning exists is actually through police powers. So, I mean, that's how zoning exists.
Mhm.
So it actually becomes more of a criminal case rather than like an administrative fee or a fine. So in the case where somebody is doing something against the code, you could deny it. It would most likely go through a process of taking it to the legal, through a legal court situation. That would go in front of town council. So, you'd have Cam as the attorney making advice as to what would be required of her. Is it a total removal of the stone? Is it some sort of additional payment, or, let's just say somebody took down a bunch of trees. Is it replanting trees? It would just really depend case by case by case.
Mhm.
So we don't have a situation in which there are zoning fines, because it really lies in that more criminal realm of the code, which is always very interesting, because you think, well, where do we get the power to do zoning?
Yeah.
And it really does come through the police powers. So there is not a set of fines or a fine per day or anything of that nature. So it does become difficult in small situations like this, where, somebody continues to do the work. Now, we could have just, we could take it to you as a, if you all said, we're gonna deny it tonight, then that's where we switch into the mode of going down a legal path. So that's really the ability you have to deny something that has already existed. And then we would take it to her. Now, in this case, it's quite difficult to think about removing stone veneer off of a wall. If it is a hand railing, let's say she had not just painted the railing, but put in a new railing, you might say that what we would like code compliance to do is ask her to remove the railing.
it. It would be a big mess if you pulled it off.
Well, I think in my opinion, the key factor here is that it is definitely a non-contributing building. Not even a borderline. I mean, the date is late, and so I know that when we have a stop work order, there is a fine attached to continuing.
There is not.
$2,500 a day. No.
There's not.
Okay. Well, maybe it's something that we should bring up when we're doing our, later on.
Yeah.
But I think for right now, we're going to have to come to a decision about it. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation, as we've said.
If we're leaving it alone, does that require an action on our part?
I think we've got to do one or the other, don't we?
Yeah, you either would
We've
approve
got
it
to
as
approve it
presented.
as presented, or we've got to deny it.
Yeah.
And if we deny it, it goes down this road. I mean, if this were a contributing building, or, a historic building contributing in the middle of the historic district, it would be a different
yes,
story.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I agree.
I move we approve it.
Mr. Boyd moves, we approve it.
I'll second that.
Ms. Bond seconds the motion. Any further discussion or comments? Okay.
Mr. Boyd?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
And Mrs. Bond?
Aye.
Okay.
All right. Our third certificate of appropriateness is Mark Goodman. Staff
Okay.
report?
Our third request is from Mark Goodman, owner/applicant, and has requested approval of a certificate of appropriateness to remove the front porch roof's wooden balustrade. The property is located at 108 East Main Street. The property is within the Old and Historic Zoning District, Sub-District 1. Some background. According to Places in Time, Volume 2 by Nancy C. King, the Sutton House was constructed sometime from 1893 to 1895 by John F. and Charles C. Sutton. The current 2.5-story, 3-bay wide brick building took the place of the removed bar house, a 2-story brick house. The bar house located on this lot was constructed in 1861 by John W. Barr. Staff findings. The applicant proposes to permanently remove the existing front porch roof's wooden balustrade painted white. According to the applicant, the balustrade was replaced approximately 4 years ago and is causing related water damage to the front porch. This has caused significant water damage and wood damage over the years. Several beams were replaced in 2015, and more will need to be replaced now. The goal is to bring the porch back to its apparent 1913 appearance. Other items related to the overall project that have been waived by staff include replacement of the existing half-round gutters and round downspouts on the front porch with new half-round gutters pre-finished the same color, but replacements would be 1 inch larger than existing. Replace all the rotted and damaged wood on the front porch and paint it white to match existing. All wood will look the same as it does now. Replace the existing pre-finished black standing seam metal roof with no rib striations or exposed fasteners on the front porch with a new black standing seam roof to match existing. Through studying various Sanborn maps, staff have observed the front porch for this building has gone through numerous iterations throughout the building's history, and in your packet you can see how I laid those out from going in from earliest to newest. In 1897, the Sutton House had a full-length 1-story porch. By 1902, the wooden 1-story full-length front porch was taken in on either side, creating a partial full-length porch. Then in 1913, the center portion of the wooden full-length 1-story porch was extended towards East Main Street. The wooden 1-story partial full-length front porch has maintained its 1913 footprint. Staff cannot confirm if the full-length front porch as seen in 1897 Sanborn map was simply altered throughout the years or demolished and replaced. So I'm not able to tell you if the porch that's there now is the original one and it was just modified or if they took it down.
I can add some information here. I worked with Mr. Bunton, who was the owner at the time. I don't know if he was the most recent one before Goodman, but there was no porch there at the time.
Okay, very interesting.
Because I went back and looked at our drawings in my archive. And, the existing drawings that we prepared before we did any design work, there was no porch there.
Gotcha. Okay, that's interesting. Good to know.
And our drawings did show the balustrade and being added, and the porch being replicated. And we, sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, we recommended a flat seam roof there rather than this one with a slight pitch on, because if you did try to put a balustrade on that, it would be very difficult. You're working on a sloped surface of things. So the flat seam metal roof seemed to be a better idea, because you wouldn't tend to see it as much behind that balustrade.
According to Places in Time, Volume 2, the Sutton House's front porch is shown with a standing seam metal roof but no balustrade. The roof shape of the front porch picture below is what I would consider it's a cascading hip. That's how I would describe it. So you have one hip, that's the back portion, and the center portion is another hip. Sheathed in standing seam metal. So kind of from property research and such, and looking at Sanborn maps, obviously the porch has seen a lot of alterations throughout the years. It's probably my hypothesis that the porch, as the one like across the street, it probably didn't have a balustrade originally. It was probably just, as we see in 1930, in this historic photograph, it probably had a cascading hip roof, and that's what the applicant's looking to try and replicate without the balustrade, so to bring it back to 1913.
Okay.
This is one of those projects, in my experience, where the owner didn't engage us to do detailed construction documents. So I don't know who did this work, and it looks from the photo that they didn't put the flat seam roof on there. It's the standing seam.
No, this photo is a historic photograph, so it could have been before.
This 2019 Google Street View.
The street view.
It looks like standing seam.
Oh, the street view you're
Yeah.
looking at.
Ribs.
No, it doesn't have any ribs on that one that I know of, but it could have in that time. But currently, the roof that's there now is standing seam with no rib striations or exposed
What am I seeing there on this?
Why don't we hear from
On
Mr.
page
Goodman?
12.
Ready to speak?
I am here.
We have a dilemma to work out, don't we?
I am here. I'm Mark
Yeah.
Goodman. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me
well,
today.
thank
I'll
you.
have Gabe pull it up on Google as well,
Yeah.
just to.
Thank
I thought
you.
it had ribs in it. Don't it have ribs in it, Gabe?
Well, that picture here looks like
When I
it
say
does.
ribs, it's got little
Yeah, ridges.
ridges things.
Yeah,
There's
it
a
looks
standing
like-
seam, but it's kind of got a
It looks like
thing
it.
on it. But it leaks a lot.
So it leaks a lot, so we've
Oh,
got to
gosh.
figure out what to do.
My point is that the specified, back in, when it's been constructed, was for a flat seam roof, which doesn't have ribs, visible ribs. I mean, it has a little sort of folded over detail.
Have
So-
you done anything to this roof, Mr. Goodman?
Yes.
What have you done?
We
I read it, but
replaced- We replaced a lot of the front wood in 2015, around the very front. Yeah, there we go. There's a good picture of it. And then what you're seeing now, we got approval, was this 2018, Gabe? 2019? You looked it up, and I'd actually forgotten the year, but we replaced
18.
that wood because all of it had rotted on top. And now it's rotting again already, and it's leaking down through it really bad. Everything is leaking. I won't say every one of them, but we felt like 4 or 5, maybe 6 of the posts are leaking down. It's starting to rot structural stuff under now. We're actually having bad things happening, and we don't know what's going on inside. Once we get the roof off, I'm hoping it hasn't rotted too many other things, but we're getting a lot of structural things now that's starting to rot. Do you have a picture of that side that where you see the recent one, like one you took last time you were there, showing the rot
Let me go back. Give me 1 sec.
that we took?
when was that picture right there taken?
Maybe
Was that the
2018 or
2019?
2019.
Okay.
That was 2019.
The most recent picture, you see a little bit of the rot, but it's starting to spread. I thought it was like localized in the one area, but then as we got to looking a couple of months ago, I guess, with the contractor talking about what we needed to do, then we got on the other side of the porch and saw a lot of rot that I wasn't even aware was there.
Give me 1 sec. I just gotta
Sure.
find it.
I think that had it, but it's the wrong. There we go.
Okay.
We're almost there. Yeah, right there. So this is zoom it in a little bit. There we go. This is the rot we're beginning to have coming out badly. But then on the other side, we started finding rot similar to this, and then down one of the posts even.
Okay. And so is what you would like to do is just to remove the whole entire
Take
upper
that whole
porch, the whole upper porch?
Yes, that upper, I call it a banister. I don't really knew what to
Yeah.
call it, but take all that off, repair everything that's rotted, and put a roof that looks about like what's on it now back on it.
Okay, because it's really not a usable porch, is it?
No.
It's really a
No, I've
balustrade
had
with
people ask me, can you
balusters.
walk out there on it, because they think it is a porch, but no,
Yes,
it's not a
it's not.
usable.
It's not a
It's
use-
pretty, I like the looks of it, but I just can't keep it from,
Okay.
I can't keep the water. I've had a roofer, I don't know how many times in the last few years, we've put sealing, we've done this, we've had some flashing, but it just constantly, I guess heating, expansion, I'm not sure what, but we're constantly getting little areas now that's beginning to cause a lot of problems.
Okay. So what you would like to do is remove the balustrade itself and
Yes.
all the balusters, and then repair the roof? Or
Repair all
replace
the
the
rotted
roof?
wood that we find, and once we take the roof that's on there off now, and then put one back on there that's standing seam like what's on, I guess that's standing seam on it now. Put that on, and it's, just like it is, you've got the middle section sticking out a little bit, and the side section. We won't change the shape of anything, But we just want to, and the angles will be about like what it is now. I don't know that it'll be as, I don't know if it's as steep as that one there now or not.
Which reflects more of what it was.
I think so.
Earlier.
Well-
It's hard to say. I like what's on there now, but it's just a leak. If I can just get rid of that top stuff and put a new roof on it and replace the wood and paint it back,
Uh-huh.
we'd just be without that. And that way I think I'll be good long-term.
I mean, you could go back with the steeper pitch roof that shows up in these earlier.
A little more of an angle to it.
Well, in fact, Gabe, if you can go back to the one that, I guess, the Google, you can see
That's
that,
close.
you can see that the ghost of the original roof is there. See the black?
Mm-hmm.
And, because it went right up under the center window in that section. And the
So-
only reason that the flat seam roof had been specified was to accommodate the balustrade, so if you're not gonna use that.
You didn't do the right
Just
thing.
as easily go back and have the steeper pitch would probably be better from the standpoint of.
Well,
water
would that
coming in.
cause any issues with, because that's all wood right there, right under the window, will that ever cause any water to stay there, like stay damp and rot, any of that, if I go up against that? If we go up higher than it is now? Or will it cause any runoff, because the gutters, will they be able to handle it? Because I've got two new downspouts. Right now, this picture, this historical picture, shows one from the second story turning down onto that roof. And it wasn't there, when we bought it, and in the last few years, we got approval to put two new downspouts from this upper roof in the middle there, right in that center window, comes down onto that porch. There's a lot of water that comes onto that porch. Was one reason I thought maybe the slope that's on it might be okay, and they might not have changed the wood that we've got there. They just have to replace rotted wood, but we won't have to replace all the joists. Maybe just leave the joists we got, replace any rotted, and go back with what we've got. Was my goal. Try to keep it on budget. I've spent a lot of money on that thing over the years, but like you said, they didn't do it exactly like he had drawn it up, and it's caused trouble.
Okay.
I would have concerns about standing seam on that lower pitch,
What would you put?
that steeper pitch.
The steeper
But
pitch?
to answer your question about the water doing some damage like that, center window, you could lower that pitch a little bit and be able to get some flashing there under the.
Would we have to replace all of the little trusses there as well? I mean, the whole porch base, the whole roof would come off more or less, and all the new trusses at different angles? We don't know what we're looking at when we get in there as to how it was made to start with, till we get that roof off. But we thought if we could go back, if most of those little joists are pretty good, and there's just one or two that's rotted on the ends, we thought we could replace that and repair it, and then go right back to town with, is what we were hoping for. It's got some pitch. I don't know what the pitch is. I don't know what it is per inch that we've got, but there is some pitch on it. But it does come below the historic one, the original, or what we think's the original. And there's a good one. It's not flat.
It definitely
has some
slopes. It
slope.
definitely slopes.
Oh, yeah, it definitely slopes, more than you realize when you get up there. It's kind of steep enough on that part of it, but I mean, I don't know how that affects the water flow and all that, but where we're leaking, that's all little posts sticking up. They don't go into the posts below them, but they go through the roof just enough and attach to some wood there that it lets the water run through. And then there actually was a piece of roof, I don't think they made long enough over here, and it's letting some water come over, actually pour on the wood before it gets into the gutter. And that's causing some rot too, so when we put the roof on, we're gonna make sure it sticks out far enough to actually go in the gutter. And that's the reason I wanted to put a little bit bigger gutter. I think it's got like, 5 inch now, I want to go 6. I want to go 1 inch bigger. I've got more water coming on it. Sometimes it overflows in a place or two, and I thought a little bit bigger gutter to handle it with a 1 inch bigger on the downspouts.
Okay.
Because we had approval 3 or 4 years ago, we put bigger downspouts on the whole house. And when we got to this part, we found the rotted wood. I think this was 2 years ago. So I've had the bigger gutter in the backyard on my patio for 2 years, but my contractor can't get anybody to come back to work on anything. So I finally found somebody that said, I'll do it, and I know him, he's done a job for me at Glade, and I said, okay, let me go talk to these guys, and that's when we found more rot. And I said, oh, I need to go talk to him about a little farther than just, we were going to waiver for the gutter and some paint, maybe replace one rotted board, but then we found this, it's like, ooh, we didn't want to just do that and then have it rot in 5 or 6 years. I've been working on it, I guess, about every 5 years. I've had to do something
I
because
remember this.
of that, yeah, because they didn't do that right like they were supposed to start with.
So what you would like to do is to remove the balustrade and the balusters all together.
All together.
And then repair, replace the roof with a standing seam
And any
roof.
rotted wood.
And any rotted wood, and basically return it to the earlier version of the roof.
It'll kind of look like it does in this
The
picture,
porch, I
except
mean.
it won't have,
Yeah.
it probably won't have that steep roundness there, and if I can keep it the pitch it is, if they think it'll work, I just don't wanna have to go in there and replace all those little trusses and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't wanna go in there and spend a few
Okay.
extra thousand on top of that. I'd like to
Okay.
get in there and be able to make it work with what we got, bigger gutters, nice solid roof, no more holes in it, bigger downspouts, and hope that would take care of everything.
okay. So, are there any further comments? Any comments from public comments?
So I guess just to be clear,
Yeah.
what was put in the packet was that it was going to match the cascading hip. From what I've heard from the discussion, they want more of this now.
There,
Oh, okay.
like what we got right there, just no banister, bigger gutters, bigger downspouts. Call it banister, what'd you call it, baluster?
Balustrade,
A balustrade,
balustrade, it's
yeah.
kind of, yeah.
You're gonna have to have that step, because if you don't,
You're talking about in the middle?
yeah,
Well, it steps up.
if you don't, the center portion's gonna stick out too far for the gutters to work.
Yeah, when you go back to it, it steps up some. It's just like it is now. None of that'll change, it's just we're replacing the roof. See, that steps up right there in the center and it sticks out a little bit. And then what we'll do is we'll just replace the roof just like it is with these angles that you see. Just it won't have the baluster on it.
Yeah.
But it does stick up there in the middle, and it does stick out. What does it stick out? How
Mhm.
far? I'm not exactly sure, but
Mhm.
how far from the back part of the porch. All that works good and it looks good. It's just I want to quit having to work on it.
That's understandable.
And I'm afraid if I let it go too much longer, I don't know structurally, nothing's sagging yet, but I don't like posts starting to rot. That begins to worry me.
So there's a question about the roof being retained in this particular angle or required to go back to the steeper pitch. That's what you're saying, is that right, Gabe?
Yeah, that's what was put in the.
That was what was put in your packet
Yeah.
that
Was we-
we've read and reviewed.
That we
So-
were gonna go to this.
So there's a change in what you're asking for, correct?
Apparently. Sorry.
Okay.
Apparently, yes. I just kinda wanted to go back with the roof I got, just get rid of that, a new roof, all new metal, no holes
Yes.
in it.
With
None
the
of
same
wood coming
profile.
through it. Exactly.
Okay.
I don't know who you've worked with as a roofer in the past, but I'd want to make sure that whoever puts your standing seam, if you're going to leave the pitch the way it is going to guarantee the roof.
Absolutely. We did one on the back that you guys approved a few years ago. We added on our dining room, and it actually has a lot less slope than this one. Then we ended up standing seam because that's what everybody seemed to want, but we got a much less pitch. It goes out, I don't know how far it goes out, quite a few feet, bigger dining room, but it goes out at a very small pitch. But as I understand, it can.
Does it
water
work?
that, but so far it's worked very
In
well.
the back, it does work, you don't have any leaks or any
Not
rotted
so
wood
far,
or
don't
anything
jinx
like
it.
that?
You just jinxed it. But no, not on
Yeah,
wood.
I got you, sorry about that.
So far, so
Sorry.
good. And this pitch is more, than it looks like in the picture, although I agree it don't come up as far as it did in the 20s, but it has more than you realize. When you get up there, it's steep enough.
Okay. We ready for a motion
I make the motion to approve.
as presented?
Yes, to remove the balustrade and keep it what you have now instead of,
The amended,
if, I mean,
So
The
to-
roof line like it is, more or less.
Okay. So the motion by Ms. Bond is to approve as presented with the amendment of the pitch to the roof being as it is now, rather than returning to the sharper slope, and to remove the entire balustrade and balusters. Okay. Second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Anderson seconds.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Boyd,
Aye.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mrs. White,
Aye.
and Mrs. Bond.
aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman.
Well, thank you, folks.
This is a major contributing structure that you're
Well,
taking
we
care of.
appreciate it. We try. That one there, it dogged me though for a few years, and I haven't figured out exactly. This is my best guess at fixing it, at least for I hope.
I remember
a
that,
while.
yes.
We've been through this a few times with you trying to
Yeah.
figure out, and this one I hope will do the job, but I think it'll at least it'll look as good as it does now, but hopefully not rot.
Right.
Thank you, folks. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
very good. Very good. All right. So this next one is Washington County. Mr. Self is here. All right, staff findings first.
Just making my way up the street. Give me one sec. There we go. Got it. Washington County owner and Burwell Construction Company applicant has requested approval of a certificate of appropriateness to replace the existing K-style gutters and rectangular downspouts. The property is located at 189 East Main Street. The property is within the Old and Historic District, Sub-District 1. Some background. According to Places in Time, Volume 1 by Nancy C. King, the courthouse was constructed in 1869. Greek Revival in style. The 3 stories are bricked in the Flemish bond pattern with a shallow hipped roof and Doric-style columns and portico. The bracketed cornice and 2-stage cupola reflect the Italianate style, popular at the time. The stained glass window designed by the Tiffany Studio was added as a memorial to those who served during World War I. So, last month, they also came before you for windows and everything, and all that got motioned and everything through to the next stage. The one thing that got tabled from that meeting was for gutters, whether to replace them with half-round and that kind of thing, so they're coming before you tonight to have that decided. Staff findings, the applicant proposed to replace the existing pre-finished white K-style gutters and rectangular downspouts with half-round gutters and round downspouts, pre-finished white to match existing color. When installing new gutters, the gutter strap should be nailed under and not on top of the roofing material. The design review guidelines do not set a size limitation on replacement gutters and downspouts. Currently, half-round gutters come in 6-inch, 7-inch, and 8-inch. Based on the project proposal, no current areas without guttering or downspouts will be altered. The applicant did provide kind of a breakdown of how big the gutters would need to be, and so that is in your packet too, that was provided. So it's an Excel spreadsheet kind of form. That's all I have for you. If you have any other questions for me, I can answer them. If not, the applicant's more than welcome to come up and speak.
Mr. Self? We're happy to have you here.
Glad to be here again.
No, you're not.
Oh, yeah, hey, come on.
Well-
It's always interesting to hear. Good to see Dwayne
Yes, sir.
outside of the tavern.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's a beautiful project that everybody is just praising,
Thank you. We're proud of it.
as you should be.
The request was mainly what we left the last meeting from. We kind of felt like it was the half-round gutters. So we didn't do any more study on old pictures. So the half-round gutters, and they wanted a study to basically size the gutters, have an engineer size the gutter. We had the architect size the gutter, and that's what we placed in the packet. 6-inch gutter on an 1/8-inch slope, and we'll put them with the hangers underneath the roof.
Okay. That sounds,
So we're good with
With that?
approval. We just wanted to clarify the size.
all right, just the size then?
Yes.
So I would just include that in your motion as
Right.
how big that you want the gutters.
Okay, do we have any questions? Is that the appropriate size?
Yeah, there's no size limitation. It's
Yes,
whatever,
it's what- and it's
whatever
what they-
gets the
it's what
water off the
his-
roof.
Their designers have.
Yeah, it's whatever
Okay.
gets off the roof.
So on the floor is, we need to make a motion to approve the gutters as a 6-inch or half-round gutter.
And round
Squ-
downspouts.
And the downspouts, and the round downspouts, right. Have a motion of that, to that effect?
I'll put that in
Mr.
motion.
Anderson moves to approve the gutters as presented, 6-inch half-rounds with half-round downspouts.
Do we
I'll
have-
second that.
Ms. Bud seconds it. Any further discussion? Okay.
Mr. Boyd? Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
All right,
Mrs. Bumper?
Aye.
all right, thank you.
next we have some waivers. Some stop work orders are in there as well. And then later on, if you have any questions about those, I can answer them for the board.
Okay. Want to take up the waivers first?
Sure. Well, I'll start with the stop work. We'll just
Okay.
go ahead through the list.
Okay.
So, staff did issue a stop work order for 334 East Valley Street. They were putting a railing on without approval. They have since taken off that railing, so it's been resolved. So as you can see on the note, just in red,
Yes.
we observed on 11/16,
Yeah.
it was removed.
Yeah.
So. At 131 East Main Street, there was a railing that was put up without approval on the front porch. We've had conversations with the applicant. They are planning to come in and apply for that railing. It's just some things have come up where it's delayed them, so, but we are in constant communication, so we
Okay.
expect them to be coming before you guys sooner
Okay.
rather than later.
All right.
Other than that, all the other ones were pretty
Straightforward?
straightforward and simple. We had a tree removal. As you can kind of see with 309, that was one that came before you as a code case at one point in time. They have been moving forward and painting it and everything, and they're doing, they even had the right profile for the clapboards on hand for me to take a picture of, as you see in your,
That sounds
in your,
lovely, yes.
in your packet, so they're moving along pretty well, and it seems to be going well so far.
Good.
Let's see. Other than that, it was gutter replacement. That was for K-Style for 123 East Valley that we, was right next door to the other one. For the trestle, we had a creeper trail trestle. It's just lights are gonna be put underneath the trestle so you can't even see them from the street or any public view. It's just to better highlight the trestle so people can see where it is during dusk hours and nighttime. We're gonna put lighting in the shelter that's behind the Finley House. That's your next one. It's gonna be a solar panel. It's gonna be matching with the roof. The roof, obviously the shelter's not contributing. It's a modern shelter. And the lights will be inside the shelter, so you won't even be able to see them there too. The last one, as maybe some of you have heard or saw, a new roof got put on the Sinking Spring Cemetery cabin, or the Cummings cabin. And it was, exactly how it was before, just a new cedar shake roof. So it came out.
It looks very nice, too.
It does.
Came out-
It looks really nice.
Okay.
We did have one thing from a previous approval that we just wanted to get your opinion on. So at 102 Court Street, or the Summers Building, they were approved for a sign, and the sign's there, and it matches the size and dimensions, and even the projecting is all good. It's even taller than what was proposed, so that's good too. The only difference was that it faces Main Street, it goes Main Street, then Court Street. But it's on the same pillar and everything, so it's just a matter of which way the sign faces. We figured we'd just bring that before you since it didn't go as presented, but it overall meets everything. We just want to get your opinion on it and see if you were okay with the placement of it.
Where's the photo?
Well,
It's two pages.
I was
from
gonna
the
say, maybe
back
we
of the
can even
other
see it right there, but I
Right
guess we
here's
can.
yeah.
Let me
It's
pull-
on, it's on Main Street. It's
That
actually
was
going
the
Main
last
Street
one.
versus Court Street.
Let me pull it up for you real quick on here too. Give me 1 sec.
Here it is, right here.
Yeah.
It's- Okay.
Here you sit this way.
Okay, so this was,
Yeah,
What
this
they
is
were
the
gonna
sign
do.
we've already approved, the sign.
okay.
Yes,
And
yes,
now
the sign's
it's-
already been approved.
Okay.
Okay, I understand
And the
now.
location?
Previous location. I mean,
Are they moving it?
So it's been installed already.
Uh-huh.
And so this is where it was approved to be. So it's kind of going facing Court Street, and to say.
Okay.
They've installed it to face Main Street.
Oh,
So
okay.
instead of it being here,
Oh, it's around the corner.
it's right
Yes.
here.
Okay.
So it isn't really too much of a change, but we figure we
But
bring
it
it
is a
before you.
change.
But it is a change, so we figure we bring it before you. If you have no problem with it, then there's no issue, but we just want to get you guys' opinion on it.
Because the option for them is to ask them to bring in a new COA
Yeah.
that actually moves it to this location.
But I would say I listened to the recordings and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and you just approved as presented, but there really was no discussion on, we would like
On
it at,
exactly
we would
where.
like it here, we would like it there.
Okay.
There was no kind of specificity with
Okay.
that, it was just kind of, you approved as presented according to the drawings there. So
Okay.
nobody in the group had a thing where it needs to be
Okay.
on the
However,
street.
I mean, I will.
Mr. Geisler?
I'll just say, I've seen it, it looks fantastic where it is, so.
Well, that's a very good point, that we didn't specify where it is, and it is the sign we approved.
It's kind of just, I mean, it's really up to you all to make that decision. It just, you know, if it was pushed to the other end of the building, like, I mean, the question really for us is just how flexible
Yeah.
do you want to be? Because if you're flexible in this case, you know, what does that mean for other projects? So
Well,
that's why we brought it up.
Well, I think that's good to have brought it up, but I also think that your point that if you did listen to the discussions and we were not specifying which way, they've simply just changed their minds and are putting it here, and I think it's an easy thing for us to.
Well, most of your motions don't. Most of your motions say as presented.
But-
So
but
it's
if they didn't
presented
say
on
where they were
court.
putting it.
Well, they presented it on
Yeah.
court.
Oh,
That's
they
what
did present it on
yeah.
court.
That's what I'm,
So-
so that, when
Right.
I say nobody specified in a sense, let me clarify. I mean, nobody had a preference that said, I want it on
Oh,
that,
Okay.
you know, that street. So there's no against anything with this. It's
Uh-huh.
just, this is how it was presented. So you would make a motion tonight and saying, we're okay with it being,
Well, there's no motion
no.
that needs,
Oh.
no motion, because there's no COA, so
Oh.
there isn't a motion to be made tonight. We kind of just wanted to bring it to your attention so that you either say, yes, they need to come back with a COA because as presented was on Court Street, not on Main Street, or you tell us you're comfortable with the fact that, you know, you didn't specify the location, and so as presented, the sign is the size, and the style that you all approved, so.
well, I think that, in my opinion, it's a very good thing that you brought it before us, and that really is a very good thing, and you should have done that, which you did. And the fact that they have moved it, that we didn't specify where it needed to be, but they did, and that they've moved it here, it's just as appropriate where it is here as it was there. It's logical that we can just let it go, I think. Anybody else have an opinion?
With that.
I'm okay with letting it go.
Okay. Okay. But it's very good that it was brought up and that we have discussed it and are okay with it. Okay.
I have a question, where's this house with all these photos?
The end of Valley Street, next to Miss,
Down near the Sinking Spring
the
Cemetery.
second house, you know.
The
Oh,
second one
yeah, the
on
second
the
one.
right.
Next to Lou Crabtree?
Lou Crabtree, I couldn't say that.
Okay, thanks. But is this a waiver?
Mhm.
Yeah.
They were replacing the clapboards. All right.
so, just to kind of start with, we're gonna review and discuss the design guideline revision comments that you just sent to me back. So, starting with Betsy, and this is all the way in the back of your packet.
And I don't know that we need to go through all of these tonight. This is just to tell you all that this was all the comments, like you each did your own sections.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is all of the comments combined.
Okay.
So if you wanted to talk about anything tonight, however, Gabe has come up with basically a year calendar for how we're gonna move forward through 2024 with the updates, so.
Well, I think that you're right, that we probably, it's nice to have them now, that we can study them and then take them forward into our next meeting about it.
Yeah, and so in January, so what we really need to do at the start of this, because obviously you need the public piece to this, is that for your January 3rd meeting, we'll send out invitations to the historic district and have people come in and do basically a workshop.
Okay.
So if there's any items on the agenda, we'll handle those first, and then we'll have a workshop with, you know, so that they can kind of shred it out. If there's any other comments, you know, we'll put a link to the actual document so that if anybody else has other comments, and then we'll bring all of your comments up and, you know, go through a whole process of having
Okay.
people look at it, vote on it. I mean, I don't know what else is out there. I think it's pretty detailed. I think for us, it's gonna be reorganization and drawings. But you might find that somebody wants to talk windows. I know windows is a big thing right now. So, we'll just see what the public brings, and that's sort of, that'll kick you off, and then from there, we can have anybody who comes to that or wants to sign up be a part of it, and then we can continue forward.
Okay.
And always invite that core group back, but we do need to have that public
Okay.
kickoff to the project
I
first.
think that sounds like a good plan. Okay. Yes, Mr. Geisler.
So are these, Ballroom Geisler, 228 East Main Street. So are these changes the only proposed changes to the current guidelines that are out there?
No, we asked each of the members to take different sections of the existing guidelines, so you can see where their names show up.
Mhm.
They basically, that's where they started reviewing to where they ended the review.
So is there someplace the public can see all the proposed changes?
Yes, and at the moment, really honestly, these are just comments, so.
They're not even proposed changes.
So are there
Yeah.
proposed changes from staff or other places other than?
Not yet,
Okay.
no. So we're starting like from scratch with the public. So what we'll do is we'll send out the invitation, we'll put this timeline on the website, we'll put the comments that have been received from the board, and then we will go through each one of them at our kickoff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then, somewhere online, there will be something for the public to see,
Yes.
the existing guidelines and where
Yes.
changes are being suggested.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and that will be for the January 3rd meeting. And then we're also gonna physically send out an invitation this month for that too.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So for them, then when we get to the public, then we'll basically have, after the public meeting, we'll put all those items up on so we'll keep like a running log on a website so people can constantly tune in.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's nice. Okay, that's very good. It's nice for we haven't done this in a good while, so it's very nice for everybody to have some input into the guidelines.
So you don't think the board recommended changes would not have been incorporated by the January 3rd?
No,
You think we
so,
just
yeah.
do this with the bullet points?
Yeah, we need to, basically, because otherwise I don't like to get ahead of a public input session.
Yeah.
If we start changing things ahead of time, that's just not a very good way. I mean, you all did a thorough review of your sections, and then we need to basically cross-examine what you all did with each other's sections, and then also get the public, and then we'll have a nice, good set of, here's some things that we really think should be changed, have that public input, and then from that point, we'll know who wants to be involved, and just really keeping it very open so that
Yeah.
everybody knows that nothing's
Okay.
being done behind the
Yeah,
scenes.
I think
Good.
that's fair.
So did we get these in our online packets?
Mhm.
We did? Okay, so I can go find them?
Yeah, and then when we
Okay.
bring the code, it's gonna be really awkward because it's gonna be a rewrite, because, you all said you wanted to go with like site design, structural, sort of like from the site upward, so, but the version that, we will have an underlined strike-through version, so every single change, every period, every single change will be underlined and struck through. But it's gonna look very painful because we're probably gonna have to like copy and paste large sections. So there'll be a very painful version to look at, and then there'll be a version where we show it to you very cleanly. So we'll
Gotcha.
keep that going the whole time.
Yeah.
So no change will be done without clear path forward.
Okay.
Okay, just one thing I'll mention, because we were talking about balustrades in the Goodman project. It actually, what I recommended was to take out the sentence that said a balustrade is a series of balusters, because the next one, which is now gone, was the definition of balustrade, so you need to just put that one back in.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
Because now balustrade isn't defined, if you take that out. Thanks.
And that too, and that's a really good example of why we would want to sort of go through each one of them with the public and see if other people have other comments as well.
It's a good start.
Mm-hmm, it's a very good start. And it's just a
Thanks to you
start.
all.
It was just a start, too. I
Yeah.
think we
No.
need to be reminded it is just a
Right.
start.
Right.
All right? Okay, any other business?
No, just take a look at it. If you want to take out the kind of the prospective schedule out of your packets, take it with you, feel free. So you can look at that and look at the comments too. If you don't want to go through your computer, you can take them out of your packet right now.
You
if
mean,
would like.
you mean these right here?
Yeah, you can
Oh,
take those
okay.
out of your packet and take them
I
if
will
you,
do that.
if you prefer not to go through your online
I'll
version.
take you up on that.
And I guess we didn't say before the meeting, there was just a brief discussion that these packets can be created the day that we're basically putting it online. So if you all would prefer to get them Friday, the day, Friday ahead of the meeting, so it's easier to flip through, we can have them ready, and then you can just pick them up at your leisure.
Make that.
That's
good
great.
idea.
That's a
You like it?
wonderful
We
idea.
would like
ma'am.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you were going to see that this introduction was changed to add it.
Oh, yeah, if you want to give that to me when we're doing.
Sorry.
That was very good. I see what you,
Yeah, I'll keep
your
those.
revision of the introduction.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Pieces to it, okay.
Really nice.
Thank you. I wrote that ages ago, years ago, so, and now we've got a lot more of the, it looks like we need to include the site, that's what I thought. Okay, all right. We'll have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Boyd,
Aye.
Mrs. White,
Aye.
Mrs. Bond,
Aye.
and Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.
We're adjourned.
Good meeting, thank you.
Thank you.